Welcome.
You guys have heard it wrong. It's been Dan Farias for all this time.
It's been a rough.
Dan
It's been
Farias.
a rough. We're starting, FYI. I'm intro with this.
Are we starting?
It has been a rough couple weeks for me. I'm gonna talk about me a little bit.
Dude,
okay?
no,
I'm
dude,
gonna talk about me. I'm gonna talk about me before we talk about you.
Speak your truth,
Because
man.
I get to talk about a lot of other people.
Listen,
Sometimes when a lot of good things are happening, in the midst of those good things that are happening, there's a lot of stress involved.
It's true, man.
A lot of anxiety
True.
involved. And I've been having some anxiety. I've been a little bit focused on other things other than my own personal health.
yeah.
So I need, I've been moving downtown. I just moved all my stuff into this apartment downtown. I've been moving into this awesome wedding collective space thing that's going on. I've been dealing with a bunch of life stuff, and in the midst of all that, I've neglected myself. Like I haven't gone to the gym. Haven't gone to the gym in a while. So I'm just a little bit stressed. But you know what? Our guest today has been one of the people that have always encouraged me to give yourself a break. I'm gonna give myself a break today. Can I give myself a break?
Of
Do
course.
it, man.
You just moved.
Can you give me a break at that Kit Kat bar?
man. If I had one.
If they sponsored us.
Oh man, it's a lot of good things. It's like, and when you're growing and trying to progress and get better, just a lot of stress and anxiety comes upon you.
Yeah.
And so I'm trying to let that go.
Yeah, it's so important to stop and just see perspective. It's
Yeah.
all this is happening and you keep driving forward. You're such a motivated guy, and being able to stop and be like, whoa, I just moved downtown. This is amazing.
Yeah.
I just launched a podcast that I've been dreaming of launching for years, and actually giving yourself time to just breathe in and be,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
Sometimes it's hard to do that, man, because you're always
you're in it. You're in the
Yeah,
middle.
you're
You're in the
in it.
middle of the trenches, and you're trying to slow down and enjoy it, but you can't because you can, but you choose not to because there's just a lot of fear of losing it or whatever it is. The thing that you care about the most, you're most afraid of losing, And so, as we start this podcast,
I'm proud of you, though, man.
Thank you, man.
Super proud of you, dude. You're
Thank
inspiring me, man.
You inspire me.
For real, I love watching you go for this, dude.
Oh man,
Honored to be on here, bro.
Definitely.
dude,
Honored to have you.
God, dude, we're excited to have you on here, man. Anyways, man, enough about me. Actually, it's okay. I'm not gonna
Talk about you as much
for
as you
talking
want.
about me. I'm not gonna apologize for talking about me, but I am. How would I say this? I am in the middle of it all, and I'm excited for myself, and excited for because the reason why I'm doing this is for people like you, right? The reason why we're doing this is for people like you. So I'm excited for myself, but I'm also excited that we're doing this because it spotlights people like you who are doing cool stuff. So on that note, everybody, welcome to the Curate Podcast.
Oh, snap.
This is episode 8. I don't know what's going to be called, but what I do, if you're wondering how I name the podcast, is I just kind of think about what the hell we talked about, and I could try to come up with a clever name. So whatever we end up talking about, and we'll figure something out.
Been some good names, man.
This is episode 8. Thank you guys if you guys have been watching. It's one of my hardest things about myself is to stay consistent. I'm very much so a starter. I like to start things,
Not finish them.
not finish them. But if you want to fight me, nigga, if you start it, I'll finish it. I'm playing. No, but I like to start things but not finish them. I have a very much so a pioneer personality. But so this is episode 8, and I'm super excited, man. I'm just trying to stay consistent with it every week on Wednesday, no matter what, even if it's late as far as time-wise. I'm trying to put it out every Wednesday. Thank you guys. If you've been watching, one of my friends, Leon, shout out to Leon. He lives in Lakeland. I'll definitely get him on the show at some point. But he said that he's listened to every single one of them, and he loves them, and so that's really encouraging.
Yeah, shout out to him, bro.
Shout out to Leon.
Need more people like him.
We need more people like him who No,
Come on, Leon.
but the hard part about starting something new especially when other people aren't doing it, is that it takes a while for people to catch on. So we got to kind of stay consistent and just like
Keep on keeping on.
Know
Shout
that
out to the day one people.
Yeah, shout out to the day one. Shout out to the people who listen to Alano and Don and then they watched it or listen to it every week. Like seriously, and there's a lot of people who listen to it like outside of Florida.
Yeah.
You know, Colorado and New York.
That's what's up.
So shout out to you. If you're this is the first one you're listening to because you're friends with Joey. What's up?
Shout out to Joey's friends.
Shout out to Joey's friends.
All three of y'all.
Shout
all
out to
three,
What's
all,
up? What's
all
up?
three
What's
of
up?
y'all.
Shout out to Starbucks Colonial and Fowler.
Hey,
Colonial
put some respect on our name.
The homies.
No, seriously, I'm honored to have this guest here today. I'm touching this. I'm stroking,
I
stroking,
jammed my
stroking the
arm.
cactus, as Travis Scott was saying.
I jammed my arm into the
No one's
cactus
gonna
last
understand that there's
episode.
literally a physical cactus right next to you. Like you're being literal.
All right. So to my right, if you're listening, you're not watching. To my right, we have my boy Edwin. Man,
Come on.
How you doing?
What's going on? We just came back from this garage sale we did with Malik.
Fuck you.
I was watching that live
You know
video.
what? You know what? Edwin's a real one.
I was
Edwin's
trying
a real
to. I
one.
was trying to.
came.
Listen, I was trying to offer you some money for that sweet hoodie you were wearing.
Hey,
and
nah,
you ignored every single comment in it.
Nigga ain't for sale.
How much for the hoodie, bro? He's
Ain't for
cold.
sale.
He's living in the dark.
We almost killed a customer though with that.
Yo,
with the
there was
shelf.
a shelf. A shelf almost freaking flew down and hit him.
And then it
he was
hit
like
me.
walking up to the ground, like, "Oh my god, this is gonna be great!" And then like he was like, "Oh!" I was like, "Watch out!" And he like ducked out. It was horrible. No, shout out to Edwin for being a good friend and you know, moving sucks, man. You have all this junk because I'm moving from a 3-bedroom with a pool on the canal with a really big backyard. So I have all this shit. We have 2 living rooms. And I have to downsize to a 1-bedroom apartment above Ford's
That's
garage.
great, man.
You know
That's
what I'm saying?
exciting.
Like, so
I love that.
it's a lot of minimalism, just like because I have to. So I'm throwing away a lot of stuff, but I want to sell it. Like I don't want to throw away stuff. So I know Edwin was helping me out Saturday. I made $100 from 6 hours. God, so it's like
Wow.
what, $15 an hour. It was not worth it at all.
My wife's dad makes like $20 a day, and then he just buys a pizza and waits. just spends the whole day off just for pizza. Oh, we made $20. Let's get pizza.
That's what I told Malik. I'm like, you're probably gonna use all that money tonight or something.
Yeah.
Just food or something.
Oh my god, no, I did. I literally went. Where did I go? I went to the Jamaica spot of Del Prado. Shouts out to
Oh.
M&A,
I've seen that.
M.A. Blessings or
Is it
Caribbeans. She's fire, bro. Jerk chicken,
Yo,
oxtail,
I've been
beef
meaning
patties.
to go there.
What,
I've been meaning to go.
bro? It's fire. Get the oxtail. If you're on
You get some bun and cheese, man.
what?
Bun and cheese,
A
bro.
bun and cheese.
Bun
Nigga,
and
what
cheese. Jamaican, bro.
the bun and beef pat.
You know that I was almost raised in Jamaica.
Really?
Yeah.
Bun and cheese.
My mom lived in Jamaica for 2 years.
You mean a
like-
beef patty with cocoa bread? What's a bun and cheese?
Bun and cheese, man.
That sounds like what I ate at Mariner High, rolling cheese. All right, so to my other right is my dog Kyle. What's up, bro?
What up, bruh?
How you doing, man?
I'm tired today.
You tired? Why you tired, bro? What you been doing?
Working, hanging out.
Working. Where you work at, bro?
Home life.
A full-time student. What do you mean?
I'm a full-time sleeper, bit. No, I'm playing.
Full-time trap.
Full-time.
Can I say one thing about Kyle? He rocks a nice blonde mustache. I just have
Hey,
respect
thanks,
for
man.
that.
Like some Paul Walker.
Dude,
You look like Paul Walker, bro.
I got that comparison all the
Hashtag
time in high
for
school.
Paul.
And when
Bro.
he died, my best friend's mom was like, "Hey, is Kyle okay? I saw him on the news."
He
And
was
they
in
were
the
like-
Lamborghini and
they
he
were like,
swerved
"Oh,
in
no,
LA.
that's not him."
Oh my god. No,
What?
Kyle looks like the guy from Narcos though.
Oh, he does. He does look like
He
that.
did.
You saw cocaína?
I told you, bro.
Plata
you know-
o plomo.
Plata o plomo.
I'm a full-time trapper.
So, man, glad you're here. But while we're really here, though,
Hey.
while we're really here, is a dude, I swear, man. How do I intro this guy? This dude When I first met him, I felt like I was looking in the mirror, but I was looking at a white, pale version.
I've heard him. They gave him the name the White Malik.
White Malik, and I've got the name the Black Joey.
Literally, like for a year or 2 years before I met you, man, people are like, "Yo, there's this dude. You gotta meet him, man. He's like the black version of you, bro." And then like I'm like, okay, sure, like whatever. And then I met you, and I was like, dear Lord,
Yeah,
it's true. It's all true, man.
Whenever we talk, whenever we're around each other, I'm like, holy shit, this guy needs to calm the fuck down. And I'm like, oh, this is how I am. And it's just like, it's like just too much.
What's crazy is before the show,
That's the
both
clap.
of you were laughing at like the same time. It was like a mirror image.
And
They were both laughing.
Kyle
at
and
the
I
same
were like,
time,
"What are you
talking
guys
at the same
laughing
time.
at?"
The listenability of this
And it was just,
podcast
like,
lasted
laughing at the
exactly
same
till
time.
Joey and Malik laughed at the same time, and everyone was like, "I can't do this
I can't do
anymore.
it. I can't
I'm
do it."
bailing out."
Well, it's always weird because I'm like, I wonder how it'd be to date someone like me. And whenever I'm around you, I'm like, oh, I can never date anybody like me. I'm not saying I'm gay. I'm just saying that whenever we're together, I imagine you being a girl. And I'm like, this probably wouldn't work. No, this dude, man, the guy in front of me is a dude who has, man, to say inspired me is like an understatement. More so, he has encouraged my life in so many ways, from afar and from up close. You know, I think this past year I've gotten really close with him. We've talked over hookah and food and cigars and beer and whiskey and walking and random
DJing.
DJing.
We're having like
and
these deep,
we
like
threw-
the other week, bro. I was cracking. We're having these like deep life conversations,
Yeah.
and you're in the middle of DJing.
I'm like, and so then Socrates said,
You're like,
hey yo,
raindrop,
Pitbull,
drop top. Oh
go
yeah,
get
so
the-
my view on God of being ground of being. How's it? Raindrop, drop top. I'm like, dude, what? You're like, everyone get lit. You turn around, we're like talking about like the depths of like the universe.
That's exactly how it is, man. That was great.
Kind of describes our personalities. This.
You know, yeah, man, it really is, and it's cool because you are a person that I look to for. Whenever I'm around you, I feel a lot of freedom to be me, because you unapologetically live out your truth, and it's super dope. And it is so freeing being around you, man, because obviously I know you have your own problems. You have really dirty shoes on, so that's okay, and like you have your own problems. You know, you have a big hole in your pants. But despite all your problems, I think whenever I'm around you, you have this way about you that allows me to be myself. And I appreciate your friendship more. God, man, it's so freeing being around you. So, without further ado, let's welcome motherfucking Joey motherfucking Jennings. God damn it. Welcome to the show, man.
Thanks, man.
What's up, bruh?
I'm stoked to be here, man.
What's up?
Good times.
You good?
Yeah.
Damn,
Doing awesome, man.
you're doing a lot.
I am.
But like, you ever feel like people say, "Hey, man, you're doing a lot," but you're like, you don't really feel like that. You're like, I'm just living life. That's what I do. I got people tell me, "You're really busy." I'm like, am I? Like, so ever since I've known you, you've always just been doing stuff. Like,
Yeah.
You got like 5 things going on at once. 5 big things going on at once.
Yeah.
So, how do I lead into this? Who is Joey Jennings as far as like I feel like you're one of the people that I can't really nail down.
I'll say, if you label me, you negate me.
Oh!
That's a quote.
Oh, first gem. Who was that? Nelson Mandela?
Something like that.
Who's? I'll say this: the first time I heard of you, you were this dude. I think it's funny, you could add people, but you don't really know who they are.
Yeah.
So I added you. I knew of you, mutual friends, and you were just like traveling. Always, you were like you in Nicaragua, you in Africa, you in whatever. So, what's all that? What's that all about? Why are you always traveling? What's up with that?
Yeah. Trying to think of the
You just like a world traveler.
the non 3-hour version of the story.
We might have to be here for 3 hours. It's a podcast.
3 hours would be great.
So you travel a lot. What do you do? A lot of missions? Like, do you even like to say
so
that? Like what?
I'll say this: when I was 16, I went on a 2-week trip to Brazil, and it kind of changed my entire perception of life. Like, there was a spark kind of lit inside of me, like seeing how other people view the world, experiencing different cultures, and just kind of having like God work in my heart and like change my perception of myself, change my perception of those around me, and that kind of started this this journey in my life. And I remember like after I went on this 2-week trip to Brazil, all of these doors just started opening. Like I got invited to like go to the mountains of Guatemala, like near the border of Mexico, and just live with a family in like this village, and we're literally like meeting like drug cartel leaders and just being part of the local festivals and dining with widows and just having these really deep, impactful experiences. And then, you know, doors opened for me to spend time in Jamaica, and then it was all of these different like shorter trips. And by the time like I was about to graduate high school, I was kind of like praying and thinking like, what's next for my life?
Yeah.
What do I want to do? And at the time, I'd done like a year of early college admission.
Okay.
So I was at
Edison.
what was Edison at the time.
The real
That's how
real
old
shit.
school I am. Edison.
You know what I'm saying?
Florida Southwestern now.
That real.
People don't even know what it's
At
like to be a
OG.
light bulb anymore. Like, I was a light bulb, bro. Why do you think they changed it? Because that doesn't sound cool, you know?
Okay.
So anyway, I was just like, and there was this program. It was like a 3-month like mission nonprofit program in Mozambique, Africa, and that's just like what I felt like burning inside of my heart. Like that's what I'm supposed to do next.
Yeah.
Like I have no idea what I'm doing after that. I don't know, but I just know that like I'm supposed to go.
Yeah.
And I graduated high school and basically went in. Moved to Africa for 3 months.
Hey. Little white boy Joey
Little
moved
white
to
hair.
Africa.
Right there. Yeah, I was part of like a program, but like it was super raw. Like we got to stay in the middle of like villages with local pastors, and then there was a point at the end of my trip where for 2 weeks we literally got a bunch of tents, and we got in the back of these big trucks, and we drive hours. They call it the bush because all you can see is a bush here and a bush there everywhere you look. It's like bush and mud huts. And we would literally go like greet the village chiefs, set up our camp, our like tents in the middle of the African bush, and the guys' tents would circle around the edges to protect, and the girls' tents would be in the middle because people would like actually come and like slash the tents at night. I mean, we were just in the middle like of the African bush in the middle of nowhere. Like there was actually one night where
Niggas in the bush. FYI, my dad used to call me Bush Boy.
that's what I like.
So Bush Boy means like you wild nigga. Like
You a bush boy. Slash
Bush-
your tits and shit.
Bush Boy. Like whenever me and my brother or whatever would do something wrong, like not wrong, but like something that's kind of wild. Like if I wanted to stay out too late, he called me Bush Boy. Bush Boy. Like, God. So now me and my brother call each other Bush Boy. Anyway, so you were out there.
Yeah, I mean, there was one night literally where it was pouring rain, and I'm sleeping in this one man like tent, and it's thunder and lightning, and I woke up in the middle of the night, and I looked, and I saw this dude's face staring in my tent, and I like freaked out. I jumped, and then it was gone, and I was like, okay, it's the middle of the night, like I'm around I'm just kind of imagining things, right? Like there wasn't really someone. I fell back asleep. The next morning I woke up and like a bunch of tents they would slash the tents with the razor blades, grab whatever they could find and run, and a bunch of tents had been like slashed and robbed. So I'm pretty sure there's actually a dude staring at my tent, and I scared him when I woke up. But so it was in this really raw environment, but like in the midst of all that, it was just like some of the most beautiful, impactful experiences that I've ever had in my life. And I kind of got to hit the pause button on like my Western upbringing, if you will. Like I'd had tastes of other cultures and getting away from kind of the mindsets that I grew up in. But this was like, I really got to kind of just like
Yeah.
start from the ground up and say like, how do I really view these things that are seen as norm? Like, how do I really like see the world? Like, what do I want to live for? Like, what is God putting on my heart? You know, what is, and just kind of like pausing from all those things. And yeah, I remember just like laying in the middle of the African bush in like a tent looking at the stars, and like after having like spending time on front porches having conversations with locals and playing soccer in the street, and just having all these super meaningful, I could go into stories, but having all these really meaningful experiences, and just like looking up at the stars and being like, this is what I want to do with my life. Like, I have no idea what this is, but like this has to be
Whatever
part of my
this
life.
feeling
like
is.
I was like, I don't know what this is. Like this search, this pursuit, this like what God is doing in me right now. Like I just want to like go for it. And I got back from Africa, and in the course of a month and a half, I ended up with one of my best childhood friends, Alex Lewis. We bought one-way tickets to Central America. We just bought one way. We had no idea how long we'd be
He
there.
bought
Like,
one. This is while you were in college, or
no,
you
this
were
is after,
you've already
like,
you're
so
done.
after I did a year of early college admission,
College
graduated high
dropout.
school.
Kanye West. First album.
Dude, I'm from Central America, and I would even do that.
What part of Central America?
I'm from Guatemala.
Dude, Baleadas.
Whoa. What?
Baleadas?
Baleadas.
You know Baleadas?
Yeah, well, that's Honduran actually.
Oh, Honduran.
My
yeah,
wife
yeah.
is Honduran, but
Got him.
no, but I mean, like
I've
it's,
had Baleadas
all-
in Guatemala and Honduras,
yeah,
because it's like
depends
border,
what
but-
region you're in.
Yeah.
Definitely. It's just it's crazy that you're saying all you're saying, because like one half of my family is like they're poor, and then the other half of my family is like complete, like they live very well in Guatemala City.
Yeah.
And so when you I mean, it's different for me. Like, you know, I grew up in Fort Lauderdale, and everything was like there for me. But once you go into like, it's just bricks, and like they don't have internet. They don't have a TV, and they don't have, and it's like, wow, like this is my family. Like I didn't know that. Like I didn't even know that. It really does change, like the way you look at life, and how you realize how much you take stuff for granted. And I don't want to say I can relate to you, but in some sense I can, because I mean I haven't been to Africa, and
You haven't been to Africa.
but if
nigga.
You've been to Africa.
Like, I've been to Africa. Nigga, you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
You're a bush boy, so
I'm a bush boy, my nigga. Nah. Yeah, man. That. I mean, we could all relate in the sense of, you know, feeling we could all relate to each other as long as we allow ourselves to. You know,
Exactly.
as long as
Exactly.
we allow empathy. You know, I feel privileged. If you're in the Western world, we're privileged. So you can empathize in the sense of, on the opposite sense of like, damn, like I can't even empathize with you if you grew up in, you know, a poor country in Guatemala or a poor country in Africa, whatever. But like, you are someone. I've been on a mission trip once, and this is to DR, but it was like a safe mission trip, you know. But like, you're one of them people that like, I'm like, yo, this dude is like in Nicaragua, like in a hut, like, nah, bruh. Mozambique, Israel. You went to Israel, right? You didn't go to Israel. Did you go to
in Jerusalem?
Jerusalem? Like, you go to places where I'm like, nah, bruh. I ain't trying to go there. I like my safety.
Yeah.
And you've always struck me as someone who's been a little bit like psychotic in the sense of you don't really care too much about your safety.
Fair enough. Man.
What was that? Were you always like that, or did that come about after the Brazil trip?
So when I first learned to swim, I was about 1.5, and I apparently
Someone threw you in, didn't
just
they?
jumped in the pool and started swimming. And my mom tells stories of like lifeguards freaking out and trying to jump in the pool after me, and her being like, "Nah, he can swim," and I would be climbing 30 feet in a tree. When I've kind of always had this desire to, I guess, like explore, and I was kind of a upstream fish.
Right.
as long as I can remember. But I think like one of the greatest like gifts that I've ever experienced is like seeing life through someone else's like eyes, or attempting to. Like I could never fully, but for me, like being able to see life through someone else's eyes is worth like personal discomfort. like it's worth it, you know. And I guess just focusing on how worth it is, I kind of just see like the discomfort I have to face as like a side note.
Wow. But how do you was there a process to getting to that point? Because you're like a white privileged male. I mean,
I was raised on the
so why do you care? Why do you
of the gated community
streets? Gateway Village, my nigga, was
Gateway,
good.
yeah.
You know,
Silver Lakes.
how do
man.
you get to that point though, man? Like, I mean, was it or was it like more so like a faith thing for you, where you knew you had that like sort of, you know, the Jesus figure, person, life, the life of Jesus inspired you to go do that? Like, how do you get from white privileged male to I want to be in Mozambique and Nicaragua and Jerusalem and all these different places? Was there a process, or you don't know how to explain it?
No, I definitely attribute it to like a work that I would say God did in my heart.
Yeah.
Like I would 100% attribute it to that.
So what's your faith background then? Like what? So would you consider yourself a Christian?
I was raised in a Southern Baptist home.
Southern Baptist.
Southern Baptist home. Yeah.
So those who don't know what the hell that even means, because a lot of people
Like
don't.
it was very strict.
Strict.
So like very rule oriented and strict. But I would say my parents always just like operated out of this like great amount of love. Like even like I feel like most of my perception of God came from just like my parents like being filled with love. You know, like my dad was a marriage and family therapist for 15 years. My mom like lived in Jamaica, like what I was mentioning.
Really?
She lived in Jamaica for 2 years, missionary for the deaf. Like my parents met at deaf school, learning to sign, and they've both had like a huge passion for like I guess marginalized people groups such as like the deaf community. And then like I mean I remember growing up, like people would come up to me all the time and be like, oh, your dad's Mike Jennings, like he saved our marriage, like, or he had such an impact, or like
right.
And so I would say that there were certain aspects of like the very strict rule oriented background that I maybe kind of have shed it off, and that I have definitely developed my own views and like went through a process from and broken through. But I think that like what's really stuck with me from my childhood is just like this unconditional love, you know, and like those who have received love are able to give love. And I think that's like a huge part of even kind of what you're saying, and some of my story is that I was always kind of, this kind of all ties in with what we've been talking about, because I was always kind of like an upstream fish as a kid, kind of an odd kid. Like I've always been very like emotional. Like, I mean, I literally remember being like 7 years old and seeing the news and being like, I can't watch this, because I was seeing someone else's pain and I just wanted to cry, because I was like, I empathized with I was always just very like hypersensitive to like emotions and like just how other people were feeling. And I mean, I remember like going to a new school in 8th grade, and I was this like long flipping hair, like skater, punk kid. I listened to like punk rock and indie music all day, and you know wore V-necks.
Oh, V-necks! Shouts like, out to V-necks.
I was just
woo.
I was this.
Shouts out to Chester.
And I went to a private school for the first time in 8th grade, and it was a new school. And you know, most of these kids had been going to school together since they were like, you know, in kindergarten.
Sure.
And I'm this like new kid, and I'm walking in with this like out of the box style, talking about these weird bands they've never heard of. Yeah. And I mean, I just got like wolf packed by like egocentric male dominance, like and I mean, I remember going down to sit at a table at lunch, and them all just being like, F you faggot, and like me sitting alone at lunch, and just like being kind of just like really, really torn apart. And I went from being like this really outgoing, just open like kid to just like shutting off and like sinking into this like really deep depression. And like
just everyone around me was kind of just like saying like, you're worthless, you're a piece of trash, like you don't measure up. And I started believing it, and I was like, I need to fix myself, you know. And I just went from really being outgoing to just closing off and introverting myself, and I was like, I have to change myself. Like, I mean, I remember just feeling like I have to do these external things to like improve myself because I'm not good enough. Like,
wow.
And I mean, I remember literally like not eating. Like, I'd stop eating and working out like crazy and anything I could do, you know, to just kind of improve myself. And internally, I kind of went into this really like place of, I guess, self-hatred, and like externally I ended up going into a place where I was more accepted in my environment, but there was still so much like internal junk. And like a lot of when I was 16, this is like very much a fast forwarded story, was kind of like me. So I kind of end up coming out of some of that time in building like this facade around my life where like I was accepted, but it was still from an internal place of like, I'm only accepted because like I'm externally good enough, right? Like, and that was built from
you had a perception that you've projected out into the world, and you knew that people loved that, but you didn't know if people loved you. You know, people accepted you like inside, right?
100%. And that trip to Brazil when I was 16 that I was referencing, like one of the biggest works God did in my heart was just like my worth and my acceptance and my value and who I am comes from this like divine origin. It comes from the inside. It comes from this depth. Like I can live from the inside out. I can live from a place of acceptance, not for a place of acceptance.
Oh, okay.
So like,
so you don't have to earn, you don't have to do things because you need to earn it. You've earned it. You haven't earned it. You have what you want, and then you live that out. Is what you're saying.
Yeah, like I am loved. Like if I wake up every morning and know that I'm loved unconditionally, then I can go out and love others unconditionally, whether I receive it or not.
Whether you receive it or not.
Because I'm coming from this place of like.
So only people who only people who have already received unconditional love can therefore give it out.
Yeah, I would think to say like a really, I guess, complex psychological principle, like really simply, I would say like, I don't know if, I feel like we may have talked about like belief expectation cycles, you know, like say like, I believe that I'm rejected. So I go into an environment and like I expect like I'm going to be rejected.
You expect to be rejected.
So I close off, I step back from everyone. And then because like I've positioned myself like that, then I experience more rejection. And then it only deepens the cycle, and it just keeps progressing and progressing and progressing. And like people, here's the thing, people can say like, oh, that's so like, oh, everyone goes through that in 8th grade and like whatever, like who cares? Like everyone gets called that in 8th grade and has to sit alone. But we have 40-year-old men who are literally operating from expectation cycles that have been formed and deepened from middle school. You know, if like we don't stop and do the internal work and ask like, why am I feeling what I'm feeling? Like, why am I viewing this the way I'm viewing this? Like, we will literally, we have the ability to carry, you know, those mindsets and those deep internal, like, mechanisms with us for years and years, and they just deepen and change forms, you know, and change, like, you know, it's like, I'm accepted because I have the coolest backpack in middle school. Now I'm accepted because I have the nicest car as a 40-year-old man.
Nicest car, nicest
you know what I'm saying?
job,
like,
whatever.
And if we don't stop and like actually say like, hey, and I feel like that's what happened to me. Like my belief expectation cycle changed. It went from saying like, I'm rejected, so I have to position myself as like proving myself to not be rejected, and just then I experience acceptance from proving myself. Then I have to do that again, and prove myself, and it totally got shredded by like God's unconditional love, and God's unconditional love was just like, yo, like, no, like,
that's a powerful feeling, Joey. Like,
yeah.
That I feel like is the potency of the Christian faith. If anything, we talked about this with Swanson a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
If anything, the beauty of the gospel of Christ is the fact that it was this undeserved thing that we received by no means on our end, that we get to enjoy, And so even as I struggle with my faith, that's still one of like the pillars of my life. Is like, yo, even though I am lost in a sense, in a wilderness of sense, in an existential crisis, God, if he still loves me, is like totally cool with this.
Yeah, 100%, man.
Because he's, and that I feel like is very powerful, because then it gives you the freedom to live in the gray. It gives you the freedom to not have to have it all figured out, to not have to have all your sins.
I have no idea what's going on.
Right. But people think that faith is like...
It's not about answers, man.
People think that faith is assurance.
Right.
Faith is assurance in things unseen. Faith is not just assurance. People think, oh, well, you have faith. Well, obviously, you're everything in your life. So no, like, faith is assurance in the doubt.
Yeah.
Faith is assurance in the I don't fucking know. Faith is assurance in the gray, in the instability of your life. It's still knowing that God is somehow assured in himself and is bigger than you.
It's almost easier to live in it is easier to live in that uncertainty, though, because it's not so much that, because you don't feel like you have to follow the rules all the time.
Yeah, because that security, the certainty though provides security.
Right.
I'm gonna rephrase that. Certainty, I feel like, provides false security.
False security.
You know what I'm saying?
You get that feeling.
You get the, I'm right. Which is why, like, the right wing, the left wing, whole political atmosphere of today is so, I think, it plays into the psychology of humans. Like,
it even goes back to, like, what he was saying, like, that 8th grade wanting to be assured of yourself.
You want to be
on
I am the cool kid. Yeah. I am a basketball player. I am a goth. Yeah. I am a punk. I am an emo.
I know how to hit a kickflip on my skateboard.
Yes.
Something like that.
Here's who I am. Well, what are you? Well, what if I don't fucking know? Like, in 5th, 6th, 8th, 7th grade,
no one knows.
I don't fucking know. I play basketball. I got most athletic, but I like girls, but I like video games, and I like food, and I like Linkin Park, and I like to skateboard, and I don't know. I have ghetto friends. I have have white friends. I don't freaking know. Why trying to put me in a box? But you feel like you have to. At the end of the day, when it comes time to the lunchroom, when it comes lunchtime, where the fuck you go to sit?
Yeah.
Where you go sit? And that's security that I feel like religion, if anything, hijacks faith. And I think we've had a lot of conversations.
Yeah, and there's just like even like dualistic and non-dualistic thinking that comes into the discussion.
Either or.
Yeah, it's like seeing from a place of either or. But like I'm like not seeing either or, I'm seeing both and more. So it's like people ask
bars.
People,
it's not either or, I'm seeing both and more. Put it on the floor. Hey yo, go to the store. Hey yo, it's not either or, it's all about more. Live your life how you wanna do. It's not the gore. It's so gory. I'm gonna get the glory when I die. You better tell my story. Hey, don't stop me. You know you can't stop me. When I kick, flip, back, drop, you gon' hot me. I don't even know. I'm like ASAP Rocky. Fly like a butterfly, sting like a bee. My boy Joey on the track. Let's get it. Oh.
If you're listening, Malik's mic's on fire right now.
Let it breathe.
Straight
Let that breathe.
Flames, bro.
What would a silence for the track?
All right, and we're gonna use that as a transition to talk about music and creative.
Because I was about to go on a whole other tangent, bro. You're about to open
this podcast is about to go into another hour.
I just want to let you know that's not abnormal for me and Joey to do that.
This is what I'm talking about. It's like deep conversations. 1 second.
Okay, so you take all this about Joey. If you know Joey, you take all these things philosophically, spiritually about Joey, and then you put that in this creative space that he's been exploring for the past year, too, and you get Plight of the Maya.
Yeah.
I like it.
Whoa.
I like that description.
That's what it is to me. It's
I can dig it.
Joey reincarnated into another creative space, right? And so, what made you wanted to get into spoken word and all this stuff, man?
I feel like for me, creative expression is like synonymous with like survival and me being operating in this world. Like I've always needed a creative outlet. Like I've always felt so much. Like
you're a feeler.
I've always felt so much, and I've always needed.
Sorry. You're a feeler, huh?
You're a feeler.
You're a feeler, man.
Sorry.
Yeah, dude. No, but I've always needed like a way to really just like creatively express like everything that I'm kind of taking in as a human being on planet Earth. Low key.
Low key.
So for me, like when I was 13, I got my first drum set. And I mean, I remember wanting to play drums from when I was a little kid, and I begged my parents, finally got one for my 13th birthday. And like that started an era of my life. I mean, I just from age 13 to 18, like all I wanted to do with my life was like, I'm going to be the best drummer I can possibly be, travel the world drumming, and like I'm not really good at anything practical. Nothing practical makes sense with my life, and drums make sense, music makes sense, music makes me come alive. I can connect with the world through music in a way that I've never connected with the world through anything else. And for me, like it just became like one of the biggest parts of my life. I mean, I would play drums 4 hours every day. And when I started traveling, it was the first time where missions and nonprofit work, if I can call it that, whatever the laying up in the tent in Africa looking at the stars, whatever that was, became more meaningful to me than even music, which blew my mind because I didn't think anything could be more meaningful to me than music.
Right.
So I was having both these experiences, and while I was traveling, I just really started like I've always loved writing. I remember in middle school, me and my best friend Alex, who I was backpacking in Central America, we wrote an entire fiction book in this 3-story tree fort we built. Like we literally wrote a like 250-page fiction book. It's hilarious. And I've always just loved writing. I've never even considered myself a good writer. I've always been bad at grammar and bad at spelling, but I've just loved the expression. So when I was traveling and I couldn't bring my drum set and I needed to express everything I was experiencing, all these new cultures, these new people, I started just journaling it. Like I started just journaling and I started writing poetry and just like exploring that creative expression because it was like necessary for me to kind of just operate and process everything that I was walking through. And I really started doing that, like, especially while I was backpacking in Central America. And while I was backpacking in Central America, there was this experience where I visited these Mayan ruins. This is kind of like the origin story of this project. The origins. Origin story.
X-Men origins.
Exactly. And I'm on top of these like Mayan ruins. And I'm this 19-year-old kid. I'm this 19-year-old kid. I just bought a one-way ticket to Central America. I'm hitchhiking, backpacking, sleeping on beaches in El Salvador, like staying in like, you know, $4 hostels in some strange city I don't even know the name of, and staying with missionaries and having all these impactful experiences, and just like my life is just this epic adventure that I'm just discovering. I'm like an Indian going into the woods, like finding my like, you know what I mean? Like that's what it felt like for me. That's what that trip felt like. And I'm standing on top of these Mayan ruins, and like I've been told that this whole civilization, the only thing we currently know about them is like the ruins they've left behind. And I'm standing on this 19-year-old kid, existential experience, just like thinking, as is my life. Like everything is a vapor in the wind. Like it's here and it's gone. My life is just this mist in the wind. Wow. Like, and it's here and then it's gone. But like, what am I living for that's bigger than me? Like, what am I a part of? Like, what is the meaning of this flesh and bone in which I operate and wake up in? And you know, in like just that search and that questioning and that depth, like was a huge like theme in just my writing and my pursuit of God and my pursuit of life and my pursuit of meaning and my pursuit of people, and not like even having the answers, just saying like these questions are important to me and I'm asking them, and like that's the plight. Like the plight is like we're all having this human experience that's here and then it's gone. But like what are we doing with it? And I had the same plight that this civilization did, that like that civilization's here then it's gone, and like what am I part of this bigger
So
than this,
it's
you know?
ooh, some
That's
bass,
the
nasty
name.
bass up in this thing. So
Drop
yeah.
the bass.
So the plight, we're all.
It's just kind of that exploration, and that exploration to me looked like traveling for 4 years straight. Like after that trip, I ended up literally not living anywhere for 4 years, and you know, sleeping in hostels, sleeping in villages with families, sleeping in, you know, tents.
There's an urgency though to how you live, and there's an urgency. There's an urgency to when you feel your life. I've dealt with death. When you feel how fragile life is, urgency is created and birthed, and that's when you start to feel the plight. And I feel like the word plight is usually seen as a negative thing, but plight is more so a neutral observation on reality.
I like it.
This is what the plight is. It's like looking at something and going, once it's born and it starts dying,
Yeah.
you can be like, oh wow, it's kind of depressing. No, well, yeah, but it's also reality. It's life and death at the same time. You look at a plant and go, wow, that thing's growing. Or you go,
I mean,
wow, that
Steve
thing's
Jobs
dying.
says that, you know, death is the greatest motivator for life,
Yeah.
because it's like,
You're going to die.
It's time.
Life is precious. And it's a cliche because it's true. So your project,
it's not about having answers. That's what's like so important to me. It's like I just want us all to come together as like human beings, and like none of us have the answers.
But
But
why
we're all
can
trying to
you-
figure this out together.
Joey.
Can we all just like
Joey, what the F?
What's that?
Why are you okay with not having the answers? That pisses me off. Does it not piss you off? I like everybody that has a following or a platform in the world is claiming to have the answers. But
Yeah. Okay. So, I'm a 23-year-old kid from some corner of, you know,
Yes.
Southwest Florida who's done a little bit of traveling. And how egocentric would it be for me to think, in the midst of 7 billion or so people in the world, in the midst of all of these years of history, somehow I've been granted the exact answer. Even if I could perfectly articulate the answers, you would interpret those answers differently through your own life experience. You would understand what I was saying completely different than I was saying it. Does that make sense?
yeah.
I know I said that fast.
But I want to know
but
why.
I'm saying like
Sway.
I'm just saying that's not even like, I just don't think that like me having I don't think the point is answers.
What's the point?
Connection.
Living.
Connection.
This is what we
I would
talked
say it's
about.
like pointing, you know? It's like pointing, like the same way where I was joking earlier, if you label me, you negate me, whatever, kind of throwing it as a joke, but if you label God, you negate God, and if you can put God in this perfectly neat box, like I think that he's no longer God, he's an idol that you've created, you know? And I think that as we share and as we talk about our human experiences and God, we're pointing towards this concept that's bigger than ourselves. It's this thing that we're all in this together, and we're all exploring this. And I think that even like to me, that's what's so significant about the story of Jesus. It's like there's this cosmic ground of being mystery, and then there's this figure that was a physical representation of that, you know, that was like became this intimate physical representation of this like cosmic force,
I think
you know. And I think that like I think that I've said this to you before, but I like, there's a quote by Richard Rohr, someone I really respect, shout out, but mystery isn't something that can't be known, it's something that's endlessly knowable. Like, so I can say like do I know God? I think I could say, yeah, like when I have this conversation with you, like as I look into, you know, in others' eyes, like I see the face of God, like I do know God,
Like, I experience people and I experience God and I experience life, but that doesn't mean that I can box God. That's totally different to me. So to me, it's like, I like, there's things that, like, I'm not saying there's no absolute truth. I'm just saying I don't think I can perfectly cage
Sure.
a way to articulate that.
The more you know God, the more you realize you don't know what you don't know about Him.
Man, I knew you were gonna take me here, man. I'm going into like this.
So I'm gonna take it here and say
that I'm trying to like. This is hot.
I think one of the biggest
people
things.
are listening. Like, I don't know what this.
Well, one of the things that we've talked about is value,
Right.
and
Oh man.
is value and how much you feel like.
If I were to properly unpack like some of what I just said, I feel like it would take like 3 hours.
It's fine.
So
It's
I
fine.
just want to like
It's fine.
disclaimer.
So you
Inbox me.
We've talked
the
about
discussion.
how in a couple of our conversations off camera, we've talked about how you feel like we don't value ourselves, right? We try to put ourselves in this box, or the way we see ourselves is how we treat ourselves. Therefore, we put ourselves through like the worst things. And for me, you know, I'm going through depression and anxiety. You've been someone that I feel like you love yourself pretty well. I feel like you accept yourself.
I feel like that's something that's really important to me to say. Like, when I talk about this experience when I'm 16 and this belief expectation, it's like, I'm not saying I got it down. Like, this is something I still, like, I mean, probably dealt with, like, 3 days ago.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Like, even, like, self-worth and anxiety and depression are, like, those are things I've dealt with on and off, like, since that point. But I feel like I just had this, you know, like, this belief that I was able to have an anchor in.
Yeah.
That, like, no, these things trying to like strangle, I'm coming at this from like I'm a work in progress, but I do hold these things true and I do believe.
That's what you
like,
believe. So
yeah.
I bring it up to say you have your first sort of single from your project out, right? Is art?
It's the first music video we dropped. Illusion was the first single.
You have your first music video, and I feel like, man.
the thing, it's funny, we talked about like so much of what the.
Yeah, and I feel like that's what I want to play it real quick. I'll play a little bit of it. It's called Art, and I don't even want to. What?
With a question.
With a
mark.
question mark.
Art.
I don't even want to tell. I don't want to preface it at all. I want to kind of just like let people listen. I'm playing the video, but you can go watch the video on YouTube.
Dan Farias.
Shout out to Dan Ferris.
Shout out to Dan Ferris. He's also the director, producer of this podcast as well. But you have a song called Art, and let's play a little bit of it.
Art?
Art? All right. Okay. Some mornings I stand up straight, locking eyes with my own as the mirror stares back. Blue oceans lit up with a new day, a world so mysterious yet right here inside of me. I rub my face, squint my eyes, then breathe in deep. Is this worth or trash that I see? And then I remember. Feel the ground beneath you, you are here, but you're only touching the tip of the iceberg. On the surface of the ocean we toss and turn, but something inside it burns. 1,000 leagues under the sea can't compete when you look into the eyes of those around you and me. I shake my head with a grin, splashing water on my face, questions raised. Are my dreams real, or am I wasting my time? God, I'm asking, will you give meaning to these lines? This life, a wild mystery on the open sea. And oh captain, my captain, I wanna dive in deep.
There's no such thing as ordinary, 'cause your eyes are the color of their own.
This life is a canvas, we are art. Our footsteps the sway of a paintbrush.
Alright, man. That's only the first verse, but you went in. So if you were to break this down into like a couple sentences, what is this song and video about?
Oh man, every day I just see I see people and I see this great potential and this great beauty and potential in life, in depth, in this fire inside of people's chests, and it's just being like choked and pressed down by these meaningless external standards and these meaningless things they're trying to reach, when really, like, I see there's so much value and God-given value and potential inside of them. And it's heartbreaking to see people have all of that, and the only thing that's holding them back is false mindsets, you know? And that's just something like, these words are something that I want to tell people, but it's also because it's something that I've, like, struggled with, you know? Even, like, I'm not saying, like, just when I was 16, I'm saying, like, 2 months ago, last week, like, there's this, it's not something that I believe that I've only, it's not significant because I've experienced it. It's significant because we all experience it. We all wake up and look at ourselves in the mirror and think, like, is this worth or trash that I see? Like, what is this? Like, and we have all these reasons that we give ourselves value or don't give ourselves value. But what if we could stop and, like, answer that question from a, you know, from a deeper place, and not let these standards.
You say we are art. You are art.
Yeah.
Art has value. You wouldn't throw away the Mona Lisa.
Yeah, yeah. I look at you, bro, and I just see art. I just winked.
Yeah.
I guys didn't see that.
Well, you know what's crazy is that over the past year,
man.
I have valued myself more. I used to have this false shame about, like, having the gifts that I had or being talented, or I used to have this shame where I, like, try to suppress it. You know, like, shut up, you know, like, stop. You know? And now I like it. I like myself. I like being with myself because I have value.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, I always think people don't like being around me. They like being around me for this or this or that. No, people like being around me because I have value. Inherent value, 100%. Not value that I've added to myself. Value 100%. That comes to me when I'm born.
Yeah.
The value that everybody else has. It's all about who sees it. Yeah, that song, that video, you know, it ends with you with a shovel, and it ends with you is in your hand, because you started off the video in the sand.
Yeah.
Stuck, and, like, you can move but you can't. And I know that. I spent
the beach. The beach represents the mind.
I spent 2 weeks in my bed, bro.
Yep.
March of last year.
It's real talk.
I spent 2 weeks in my bed, not being able to move. I would tell myself to get up, and I couldn't move because I was so fucking depressed.
Dude, that was the beginning of 2016 when I was going through so much of some of this. Like, there were days where, like, literally so trapped in, like, the beach is supposed to represent the mind, right? And, like, being so trapped in these lies that I was believing and this worthlessness I was feeling, that, like, I couldn't operate and I couldn't function. And, like, it's this whole thing, like the video, like, I just wanted to, like, represent that feeling. And to me, when I thought of that as a metaphor, I saw myself buried in the sand, you know? It's like, the reality is, and it's clipping back and forth to being above the sand and being buried. And it's like, the reality is I'm above the sand, but that's the feeling. That's the place of the mind. And then
it goes through this video. You're finding this sort of freedom through the video. There's people dancing at the end. Shouts! That was fun to shoot.
Dude, you made
that was fun to shoot. I make a cameo in the video. With my sweat stains. But the video ends.
Oh man.
The video ends with you with the shovel in your hand. You dug yourself out, and you have this option of going back in or not.
Yeah.
You know. And I think that's so powerful because every day I have the ability to go back in. I mean, even before this podcast, I'm not gonna lie, like, I'm stressed the fuck out.
Yeah.
I can let my anxiety take over.
100%, man.
Or we go, you know, no one's gonna listen to this shit or whatever, and then just beat myself up and go back into that. Or I could not. Or I could find that freedom of, like, no, man, you're awesome.
And even just, like, the value of having this conversation.
Yeah.
Like, we're all listening and we're all having this conversation and all benefiting from it.
Is there more of this type of stuff on the project? Because people listening to this they're listening to this on Wednesday.
Yeah.
And you're having your release party.
Yeah.
your release show / going away on Friday,
Mm-hmm.
this coming Friday, and you're releasing the project Friday
Yeah.
At Millennial.
at Millennial,
April 7th.
April 7th.
Actually, the albums are supposed to be at my house right now when I get home. Like, this is scheduled today.
So this Friday, guys,
Yeah.
coming up, make sure
Yeah,
you
this
come
Friday,
through.
April 7th.
April 7th.
Show up at like 8:30.
Yeah, it's gonna be dope.
Millennial Brewery.
It's gonna be super
So
sick.
yeah, basically like to bring it back around full circle. I'm always like, I shoot away and then I like remember like weird points that were left
Sure.
off, and I'm like, oh, let me wrap that up. So to just kind of like, we were talking about like this weird thing of like music being so meaningful and these experiences being so meaningful. There was a point where like I really wanted to just take all of these poems and journals and spoken word as something that had like always meant a lot to me. Like I just loved spoken word, and like I mean I remember just being in my car alone and just like freestyling spoken word in my car alone, or being in like a worship session and under my breath, like maybe it's just because I can't say, like I don't know, like I just started doing spoken word, and like it was always just like this really meaningful expression to me, but it was never something that I did in front of anyone. You know, I was always a drummer and I was confident as a drummer, and like I just had this vision for years of like creating this project where like I combined like the groove and feel and musicality that I'm in love with as a drummer, and then like the depth and lyrical content and exploration of these ideas that I've loved from someone who just loves like writing and journaling and poetic expression. And that was kind of like me putting together this project and trying to like merge my two greatest passions, you know.
Wow.
My passion for this exploration and like my passion for music, and like really merging them together in this like single place that I can really take around and kind of start these conversations and connect with people.
So
Yeah.
you said that like the lyrics from art kind of reflect stuff you've been thinking like presently, right? Like stuff
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
going on right. But do some of the lyrics or songs in this project come from like your work out in the mission field, or your work out in Africa, or whatever you are? Like, is it a mix of like what you experienced then and what you experience now?
100%. I would say this is the two pieces that I released right now, I would say, are the most like general conceptually.
Mhm.
Like that's part of the reason I released them as solo pieces, but the album really is a concept album. Like it kind of tells a story.
I got
and
to see that.
it tells specific, it kind of zooms into specific stories, and like they are specific stories, but they're also concepts that go beyond those stories. But
Right.
So Zoom, speaking of Zoom, I saw the album cover.
yeah, dude.
It's Wednesday, so can I talk about the album cover, or is it like a surprise?
I think you can talk about it.
See, there's a guy, there's an old
yeah.
dude
Yeah.
with a looking glass, a telescope. What is that? Is that like I'll give my best interpretation. You're looking into the past, back at your life, and like is that like you're looking back into your past? Is that kind of like, is that old man you on the cover? Like, you don't have to answer, but like that's my interpretation. I'm looking at it like it seems like you're very much so talking about the thing we talked about earlier of like looking back at your life, the plight. It seems like, because that's a very powerful thing to look at your life and go, oh shit, like if I look back, you know, it's like that thing of like when you die, you go watch a movie of your life and be like, oh shit, you know, like
Yeah.
watch all the good moments, bad moments, moments you missed, moments you know. I just feel like the plight of the Maya has that same sentiment, you know. And I don't know, you gotta answer it, because I when it comes to creative stuff like this, like you want to let people interpret it and think what they can from it. But that's
I'm kind of pretty open about the metaphors that I use. So I think it was in 2015. I was actually living in Nicaragua with a family, and in like a Nicaraguan slum, and just kind of like thinking a lot about yeah, just thinking a lot about kind of what the next like years of my life would look like, and being in my early 20s, like, and there's this picture that just like meant a lot to me. Like I thought about myself as an old man with this big gray beard is sitting on a dock just like looking out into the water, and I'm imagining that man thinking back, that man which is myself as an old man looking back on his life. There's a line that says like, I've been thinking about myself with a gray beard, looking back what still holds meaning, what fears I overcame and what became of all the strength given to me. What do I want to see looking at that wrinkled face in the mirror? Days given to short-lived trends, a robotic story living a means to an end, positions and checks are the hows defined, or will the story live on beyond what is called mine? Live for 1 in 7 billion and all I have will cease with me. What if I plant seeds that past my time grow into forests of trees? And just kind of like that theming of like me thinking back, like, and like what risks would I have taken, and like what things are worth living for. And then there's like the other side, like he's looking back and there's like this this almost like movie-esque like robotic figure like shooting in the album art, shooting lasers from his eyes. But like really it's just kind of like the gray beard versus the mechanism, and like the mechanism represents like I have to eat, I have to survive, like life is hard, like life is complicated, life is confusing, and I feel like what's on my heart to do with my life is so simple and so clear and so obvious, but there's so much clutter to just live that out, and there's so much I have to walk through in difficulty just because that's the structure and the confines that I live in. And it's kind of like that push and pull and that contrast, and being someone who's like I'm 23, real talk, and like the two things that I want to pursue with my life are like missions and nonprofit work and like music and arts. Like those are the two things I want to pursue and care most about. And those are the two hardest things to like eat and survive and like just like operate.
The hardest.
Like those, that's impossible. Like, and like I'm someone who like I honestly would rather die than live a life without passionate about. And like that I don't see that as like a
Edwin dropped the mic. He was
literally dropped
mic
the mic.
drop. I don't see that in like a depressing way. I see that in like no, I'm gonna give this my all. Like I'm gonna go live out the things that God has put in my heart with everything I can, and
Sorry, guys.
Dude, man,
and that push and pull, that contrast though, that's like, I mean, the beginning of this year, it was the first time I'd been in one place after 4 years of traveling and having all these meaningful experiences and getting the most normal job I'd worked in 4 years. And I remember just feeling like I was dropped back in Fort Myers with like no car, no vehicle. Like I was biking 10 miles a day, taking public transportation, like living on a friend's couch, kind of just like, what the hell am I doing with my life? Like, and that's the whole thing of like, like in this song, I'm like God, I'm asking, will you give meaning to these lines? And like the beginning of 2016, there was a lot of like me just kind of like navigating that and feeling like, that struggle between like, I have all of this opportunity where I could just like pursue a normal career and like make good money. Like I have all of those opportunities lined up for me.
You could take the easy way out as far as simplicity or comfort, but you don't.
And to me it's not optional. Like I just couldn't imagine like living a life that,
because of your personality.
So
it's not your makeup. It's not an option. See,
it doesn't. To me, it doesn't feel optional. So that's kind of a lot of that contrast, that push and pull of like the gray beard and the mechanism, and that's been a huge theme of my life. And I think that like a lot of the stories can kind of be like and there's a title track called Gray Beard that kind of like really lays out.
Dude, I am so to end it off, I would say we could be here all day.
Woo!
I knew that we could do a 3-hour podcast, but we're not. For the
Gotta
people.
cut this man off.
I am so excited for the project. If you want to hear more of what he's talking about or more of how he sounds like, come out Friday, Millennial. What time? What time is that?
Show up at like 8:30.
Show up.
There's gonna be food trucks before.
Yeah, it's gonna be dope.
Um,
Show up Friday. It's
hanging
gonna
out.
be a great freaking time. It's also his going away party. He's gonna go do some big things. But I'm excited for the project. I can't wait to hear. I can't wait to hear that song. I can't wait to hear the whole project. I know. I can tell you've put your soul and heart and love
Yeah.
and time.
the way I
and money
describe the writing
into it.
process is like streaking in the middle of Times Square. It's just like
Shit.
the most vulnerable thing I've
Vulnerable. They're the most
Depths of my soul.
courageous.
Like-
There's courage to that. So, Joey, man, thanks for having you. Thanks for coming
Oh man.
on the show. So good having you on the show,
I just want to
man.
I just want to say, man, I appreciate you so much. You continue to be an inspiration for me. Just like really facing these hard questions and these confusing times, and like just learning to be okay with it, learning to be okay with mystery, learning to just like. I just feel like you're a voice that's able to speak to so many people and just kind of saying like, we're all in this together. You know what I mean? Like we're all in this together. We're all trying to figure this together. Let's just be open and talk about it. And like the fact that you said like I feel like we can have these conversations that are non-judgment. Like that's like the biggest. Just like this non-judgmental environment. I feel like that's what this podcast is. It's just
Yeah.
like this conversation. Like there's no judgment here. There's just
Yeah,
real
not
talk.
at all,
Like we're
man.
just coming
Real talk.
together and just exploring and like. I won't talk anymore, man. But I just
Real talk.
appreciate you, bro.
Oh, man.
And I got a lot of love for you, man. Got a lot of love for you, man.
No, man, thank you.
Much love, man.
Joey, I can't wait to see you Friday. It's going to be a good time. It's going to be a good time.
Good
coming
times
up.
all the time, every
Yeah,
time, man.
More to come.
Oh baby.
Yeah. Thank y'all for listening to the Carry Podcast. Again, another week. We love y'all. Stay lit.
I love you guys so much,
I'm super hungry. I'm going to go eat some food now.
dude. Some grub for the tub, man.
Peace out.
See it.
Thank you.